Lesson 2 is all about identifying with your user, developing empathy, and learning to see something from somebody else's perspective. In this lesson, we want learners to be able to get into the mindset of the person who's using their product and thinking carefully about their needs and their wants. This is part of designing apps that have the users in mind. For this lesson, you will need the user profiles and product cards. You can either print the ones that we have, or you can make up your own. So to start the ball rolling on this one, we are going to talk to learners about what makes some products attractive to some people and not others. Why can I look at that high heel shoe and think, never ever in a million years would I be comfortable in that? And I'll look at the sneakers and say, wow, those look really nice. What makes things attractive to different people? Then you can discuss what a consumer is or user. What does that term mean? It's the person that's going to be using the product or using the service. They are going to get into the mind of their users. They're going to think carefully from their perspective and think of what their users' needs and wants are going to be. For this lesson activity, you are going to get the learners to work in groups. Now for this lesson, big groups actually work okay. You're going to give each group a user profile. The 4 ones that we have are Vuyo, Tembi, Amy, and Vershka. But you can make up your own ones if you would like to. The point is to make them 4 very different people. In the beginning of the activity, each group needs to read through their user profile. This user profile mentions who they are, what they do, what their likes and dislikes are, and all of the user profiles mention one specific need or want that the user has. Once they have looked at their user profiles, you are going to display the product cards. There are pets, there are shoes, and there are cars. But again, you can make up your own ones. What the learners have to do is they have to discuss in their group which pet, for example, they think their user would pick and why. Now this gets a little bit noisy, but it's good discussions that are happening. And then once you've given them a little bit of time to discuss, appoint one person in the group, and what I normally say is it can't be the same person every time, to give feedback and justify their reasons. So they have to tell you which product they would choose, and they have to justify their answer. Now, there's no right or wrong in this, and I tell this to the learners right from the beginning. There's no right or wrong for this activity, as long as they can justify their choice. So, in this way, learners have come up with such different ideas, picked pets that I never thought they would, but they had good reasons for it. The final part of this activity is for learners to think of an app that meets their users' needs. Like I said, in each profile, there is a need or a want that the user has. They need to look at that need or want and develop an app. And what I normally tell the learners is they can talk about an app that already exists that they feel like their user could use to solve their problem, or they can come up with an idea for an app that doesn't exist yet. It's up to them. Again, have somebody feedback and explain the app. If you have time, they can even do a little sketch of the app and add labels for what its features can do. But they feedback how their app solves their users' needs and how it works. So to link this to real life, we're talking about how every product has users in mind when they are developing it. So the main example I use for the learners is I say, how would you design an app differently if you were designing it for teenagers versus if you were designing it for retirees? What would the differences be? And they point out things like for the teenagers, it would have more social media connections, it would have more customizable options, it would have lots of settings that they can change. Whereas if they're designing something for a retiree, they want simple, easy buttons and simplified needs. So that's just a way that we link it to real life, ensuring that there are different products around them and all of them have been developed with different users in mind. And then you can have a look. Think of some products around you. perfumes, sneakers, toys, gaming consoles, and talk about what user the person had in mind when they were developing each of those.